Hello everyone, in these lessons we're going to look at what wealth is and the economy, just to get everyone in the right mindset of how things work. And then in the last lesson we're going to look at what's actually happening today, possible outcomes of what the governments are doing around the world, and possible ways to benefit or just to protect your wealth from what could be happening. Okay, so the first question to look at, so you'd have a good overarching idea of how everything runs, is what is wealth? And you got to remember, this is what the elites want. They want wealth. They want total control of wealth. So the first thing we need to know is, well, what is it? What do they want? So we have four options here. We have gold or precious metals. So this could include gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Then we've got all of the cryptocurrencies, most notably Bitcoin. Here we have the currencies of the world. So the US dollar, the Chinese yen. So that's what that picture symbolizes. And it's all paid through either cash or card. And it's all of the money in the bank accounts. Last, we have the symbol, the communist symbol of the sickle and the hammer. And this represents labor. And I've chosen this symbol because it is the whole movement around grabbing the labor, the communist movement, because it's all of the workers wanting their labor. So we're going to think, what is wealth? Is it precious metals, crypto, currency, or labor? So have a quick think. What is wealth? Not what is money, but what is the wealth? What is it what everyone wants? What is it what the elites want? Alright, so I'm going to grab out my texter. I'm going to cross out the things that is not wealth. I'm going to start with the thing that is the furthest thing from wealth right now out of these four options. So I'm going to cross out cryptocurrencies. You hear a lot about cryptocurrencies these days, but they're definitely not wealth. All they are right now is some kind of pyramid scheme. It's a gamble. That's it. You can make money from it, but it's a bet. You're going to a casino with these. That's it. It's not even a currency because you can't buy things with it. And even if a country has adopted it as a currency, like there was one country in South America that did that, you still can't buy stuff with it properly. They have to transfer it into the American dollar. That's because they're too volatile. And it's just too hard to have everyone adopt it and start using it yet. So it's not even currency, and it's far away from wealth because there's nothing to it. You can have as much Bitcoin as you want, but you can't buy anything with it. And you can't eat it, you can't do anything with it. So it's literally useless. It's a number on your computer screen until you change it for something closer to wealth. So let's have a look at the currencies. This is closer to wealth than the cryptocurrencies, just because you can buy stuff with it. But buying stuff with this doesn't make it wealth. It means you can exchange it for wealth, but it isn't. It's your means to get wealth. So you have to remember that everyone's fighting for money. It's wealth, it's wealth. It's not. It is your means to get wealth. If you got to choose, would you want a big house, a fast car, a lot of nice restaurant meals for the rest of your life, or a lot of money? You're going to want to have the other stuff, especially since if you have a lot of money, but you're not allowed to exchange it. So remember, money is not wealth. It's your means to get wealth. Okay, next on the list to cross out is gold. Gold isn't wealth either. Gold used to be currency, like the fiat currencies of today, so you could exchange to wealth. And the only reason I have put gold above the currencies right now is because it's actually a better store of wealth. So it keeps your wealth. Because we print a lot of currencies, they are worth less every year. So if your inflation rate is at 5%, they are worth 5% each year less. So your purchasing power gets weaker, you get poorer. However, gold goes the other way. It goes up with inflation. Not a straight line, but it does tend to go up with inflation. So it's actually getting better. You're being able to buy more with it each year. But it's still not wealth. Because can you eat gold? No. Can you go buy something at the shop with gold? No. It's just a really good store of wealth. So we're going to cross that out. So the last thing we've got is labor. Labor is wealth. Labor is wealth because that's what you want to get. It's what produces everything we like. We like food, we like houses, we like cars, we like TVs. I like the laptop I'm using right now. And how did we get that? Did I get that because we have a lot of money in our system? No. Did I get it because we have a lot of gold in our country? No. We have all that stuff because we have people making that stuff. That's it. If you have more of the money yourself, you can probably get it. But doesn't mean more money means more wealth. More wealth means more wealth, more labor. So remember, the production of the things and goods, that is wealth. None of these things, all these things is how you can get the wealth. Okay, so that means we can also look at how valuable these three things here in terms of how much labor that was used to build it. So if you look at cryptocurrencies, essentially no labor anymore. You just type in a few numbers. So it's not worth much when it comes to labor because you can do it very easily. Same with the currencies of today. The notes, they've got paper. You can burn it, I guess, for some use, but there's very little labor to it, so it's not worth much. The numbers in your computer screen, worth even less. There's no labor behind it at all. However, to produce gold and silver, that's a lot of labor. It takes a lot of labor to make a mine, find all of the precious metals, and then actually mint them into the bars and the coins. That's a lot. So it's always going to be worth something because there's a lot of labor to it. And there's always demand for it. Even today, when the gold and silver does not back any currencies, there's still demand for it. So there's always going to be some kind of wealth in gold and silver. And that's why it's a good store of wealth, but it's not wealth because it has a lot of labor behind it and it has proven to always have a demand for the last 5,000 years. Okay, so we've just moved it around a bit. We've got our hammer and sickle at the top because that's true wealth. These three things are the ways you can gain the wealth. They're either stores or the transfer mechanisms for wealth, which is currency or money. So we've got some questions up here. Which is the best measuring stick? So a currency is a measuring stick of wealth. So let's say, you've got an apple and it's $2. That $2 is the measuring stick. It's a measure of its value, the price is. So which one is the best measuring stick? Well, the best measuring stick is the one that's the most stable, the one that doesn't move much. For example, if you try to build a house and you have a magic ruler that changes its size every day. For example, one day 30 centimeters could be the size of your foot. The next day, 30 centimeters is the size of your whole body. And if you try and build a house with that, it's not going to be a very good house because your measurements are completely wrong and nothing's going to fit. And so if we have a look at the measuring stick values of these three currencies, the money that we use today is awful. It's always changing today. They try and keep it stable right now, but it's all an illusion. But it's continuously changing and it's going to get more volatile because how much we're printing. So it's not a very good measuring stick and it's about to break. The illusion's about to break. Cryptocurrencies, even worse. Don't even think about using cryptocurrencies as a measuring stick. It is nowhere near that. It is just way too volatile. That's why it's just a bet right now. But it is not even close to becoming currency. You cannot use cryptocurrencies as a true currency because it is not stable at all. Gold, silver, it's been around for 5,000 years and it barely moves at all. That's why it's not something you buy to make money, it's something you buy to protect money. Because it barely moves, it just keeps up with what the life's going, it keeps up with what the value is. So you look at how it's gone so far, it's barely changed over the last year. It's the only thing that's stable. It's the best measuring stick out there, and that's just because it's so hard to make and it's getting harder to make. But the more demand, it will go up, but it's just only going to keep up with the inflation. And that's only because this is ruining everything, because inflation is crazy. So gold, silver are the best measuring sticks, especially gold, because gold is not used in anything else. It's not destroyed. Silver is not a very good measuring stick because it's used in a lot of industrial applications. So it's constantly destroyed. It's more volatile because of that. But gold, you don't have to use it for anything. Other metals you can replace it with. So gold is an amazing measuring stick. Okay, same thing. Gold still has the most labor behind it, so it has the most wealth. So it's winning right now because it's got, what's the best measuring stick? Gold. What has the most labor backing it, so it always has wealth behind it? Gold. Which modes of currency is the least controlled? Well, that's gold again. This is the most controlled. All of our fiat currencies are controlled by people in power. They dictate how much is made. They dictate where it goes. It has a lot of control behind it. And that's why the elites want you in money, because they control it. They don't want you in gold. It's the least controlled. You buy it, you put it in a safe, you hide it. They don't even know you've got it. So they hate it when people have gold. Crypto, a bit up in the air. Bitcoin, no one knows who owns it, so we don't know who controls or anything like that. Every other crypto, heavily controlled. It's all centralized, so don't be fooled by what they say, how it's decentralized. Every single crypto, I think, besides Bitcoin and maybe Dogecoin, is centralized. There's a company who owns the currency, the cryptocurrency, and that company also can dictate what they do with it, how much they make of it. So it's basically just as bad as fiat currencies, a lot of the crypto. So do not be fooled by it. And this even includes Ethereum, the second most popular cryptocurrency, just as bad as every other fiat currency. It is centrally controlled. It can be printed to oblivion, just like anything else. So remember, gold, least controlled. You can get out of the system with it, and that's why the elites hate people getting gold. They can't control it. What do the elites currently control? They don't really control cryptocurrencies much. I don't think they care about cryptocurrencies. It's a fad. Simply, that's it. It's the dot-com bubble all over again. But they do control the other currencies, all the fiat currencies around the world. That's why they want everyone in it. If you get out of a bank to buy gold, banks hate it. They'll try and stop you. But if you get out of a bank to buy bonds, which is a part of this system, or stocks, they love it. If you stay in the banks, they love it because they want the control over you. So remember, gold wins again just because it is the best measuring stick. It is stable. It has the most labor behind it, so it's always going to have wealth behind it. It's the least controlled currency. So if you're looking for freedom, gold. And the elites do not have any control over it. So if you want to escape them, gold. So if we look at what currencies to go into, gold is your clear winner because it is safe, stable, and free. And by I mean free from control. So what do the elites want? They want all of the labor because labor is wealth. They want to control your labor. They want all of the productive land, so that's why they're all buying all of the land right now, including residential, so they can be the only landlords. And they're buying a lot of the farmland, which is very important. And soon, when they get enough power, they'll probably grab a lot of mines too, because it's very productive. They want the production. It's why communists go for the means of production. They know what true wealth is. You have production, you have wealth. Next thing though, how do you get the production of the individual? You just can't grab an individual, turn him into a slave as easily. It has been done in the past, but you can't grab the whole population into slavery. One way to do that is to control the currency. If you have total control of the currency, you have total control of the people. And that's where we're moving into right now, the social credit system and the central bank digital currency. They will control everything of the currency, which means they control your labor. And that is very scary. You do not want anyone else to control your labor. If you do have someone controlling your labor, you're essentially a slave. So you want to avoid the social credit system and the CBDC as much as possible. Protect your labor. Alright, so we have to look what are currencies normally backed by. So if we look at 100 years ago, currencies were backed by gold because gold's stable. It's a great measuring stick. This meant most people were free. They could grab gold. They could actually go into a bank, say, I've got $100 in your notes of currency, in like the American dollar. I want $100 worth of gold. And the bank would give that to you because all of the banknotes or the currency were backed by gold. And that means you had freedom of your money. You had freedom of your labor. No one could control your labor. No one can control your currency. But then that turned into getting backed by debt in 1971. All money right now is backed by debt. So now most people are debt slaves. We've lost our freedom of our labor already because we're all enslaved by debt instead of having it backed by gold. So we're a lot poorer now just because we're partially a slave. We just haven't known we are, but we are by debt. Next, if it's CBDC, your money is backed by your compliance. If you're a good citizen, you get money. If you're a bad citizen, you don't. That is true slavery. That's what it's being moved to. We've gradually gone from a backing of gold where it's free to backing of debt where we're half a slave. Then it'll be next backing by compliance where you are 100% a slave of the system and of the elites. So you want to avoid this possibility. You want to get out of it. Best way to get out of it, go to a currency they can't control, which right now looks like gold. Okay, so it's a quick little lesson. So let's have a look at what lessons we learned here. So what is wealth? Wealth is labor, not currency. Currency is the measuring stick of labor. So the most important thing you want to protect and you want to get is labor. That's the most important thing. Alright, so remember, centralized currency is an enslavement tool. Avoid centralized currencies. We already have an centralized currency. They don't have total control over it, so we're only partially enslaved. You want a completely free currency. You want no centralization. Right now, that's looking at gold and silver and potentially cryptocurrencies. Not yet, potentially. Historically, gold is the best store of wealth and the least controllable. So that's why everyone wants it. Because everyone's seeing the enslavement coming down, they want to be free, so they go on to gold. They don't want to lose their wealth to the next system, so they go to gold. It's the best store. Doesn't mean it's wealth. It could turn into zero if the whole system comes in, because then no one will accept your gold. But it is the best possibility for storing it. Okay, so let's have a look at what actions we can take. This is the most important part of the video. First thing, protect your most important asset. Your most important asset isn't your money. It isn't your house. A house actually isn't even an asset. We'll be looking down another lesson. It isn't gold or silver. Nothing like that. It isn't your stock portfolio. It is your labor. If you can make something, create something, if you are used to other people, you will always have food in your belly. So labor is the most important asset you have. Protect it. Don't allow the system to control it. Get out of the system now. We're already halfway in. Get out. Use it to build an opposing system. It is the best thing we can do right now. Grab your labor, take it out of this system, build an opposing system so that where everyone is free. That is your most important asset. Do everything you can to protect it. Okay, also, if you can, gain and protect land and make it productive. That's also very important. Land is where production is made. So your most important asset is labor. Where is labor? On land. You got factories, you got farmland, you got mining land. It's all land that has a productive mode to it. So you want land and you want to make it productive. It could be a shed where you make stuff. It could be some land where you grow some food. It could be anything as long as you're doing something productive. Protect it. Next, your best bet to protect the wealth you have today not to create wealth, not to make wealth, but just to protect the wealth you have today, is precious metals. It is the best option of storing wealth. So we've got the first two things that continuously makes wealth for you, your labor and land. And then the third thing is to protect the wealth you already have, which is precious metals. And use less controlled modes of currency for purchases. This means cash. If you use cash, you're going against the system. If you use cash, you're doing something the elites don't want you to do. This is how you break the system. You do what they don't want you to do. If everyone started using cash, the system would be collapsing right now. They'd be struggling. They'd have no control. So use cash. Always, as much as possible. Alright, so that's it for this lesson. I hope it has helped a little bit, and I'll be making the second lesson very shortly.